Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all colors all around the world, I'm spitting them great facts. All heads beware. Welcome to No Cap. Man, told you, boy, a little piece at a time, a little piece at a time. We're going to keep trying to improve. Try fix the video a little bit, try fix the audio a little bit. You're going to let me know whether I'm messing up or not. Let me try to adjust this. We good? We good? All right, bet we good. Was a long weekend, man. A lot going on. Sports, football, boxing, college football, all news, world news. Time just keeps on ticking. Man. But we got another day. Another day to have a conversation, to grow a little bit, get a little better. I spent a lot of time outside, a little bit with family, a little just exploring. Oh yeah, if you don't already, follow the Instagram page, No Cap Podcast, NOCA 4Ps ODCAST, No Cap Podcast. You can see the No Cap page, 3Ps and then the PM podcast, so straight together. I'm gonna start having real deal conversations on here, but then little interesting little nuggets of information, a little insight into what my everyday life looks like. So I post that on the Instagram page. So that's gonna be like behind the scenes and interest stuff. But the real deal stuff gonna be on here. You see me looking away, it's because Monday Night Football is on. Well, stay up to par because my fantasy team is still playing right now and I need that dub. But man, quite a few conversations going on. Let me see if I can. Oh, I done messed up the camera. Let me get it together. A little crooked. We gonna see if it stay, man. I had to get another pot. Go ahead, get another tripod or something for that thing. But seeing the topic of the day, boy, the truth will set you free. On the last pod dropped, I'm gonna have to stop repeating myself when it comes to that. Just again, every podcast gonna leak into one another where something that was said is gonna roll over into something else that's gonna be said later on. Because once you find that lane of consistency, it's funny how you can start drawing parallels between this and that, and things don't have anything to do with one another. But more often times than not, it does. Another habit I got to fix, right? Really, trying to stay here on the mic and not move around, but used to moving. But truth will set you free, right? I don't know if it's just me or a lot of people are experiencing this, but folks don't like the truth at all. Like, people will literally try to kill you for giving them the truth. There's no respect for logic. Nobody cares about what's real or what isn't real anymore because we've invested so heavily in the entertainment, and entertainment isn't real. You don't entertain people by giving them glimpses in the mirror of what their life looks like. You entertain people by creating fantasies and false realities that they can peek into and start to explore those imaginative corners of their brain. I wonder what that would be like. And then they try to like take that fantasy and turn it into reality. Entertainment is all about creativity and being imaginative. Education is the part that's about the truth, knowledge, and learning. And especially in the US, we probably spend 90% of our efforts into buffering entertainment and maybe 6-7% in the educating, and the rest in it, what I like to call exploratory. So 3 to 4% into trying new ish. And that's crazy because in order to be a balanced individual, you really needed to be closer to like 33%, 33.3% in the all areas, or as close to that as possible. But nah, we 90% entertainment, 6 or 7% learning something, 3 or 4% in the exploratory situations. And that's crazy because going back to the topic, right? There are folk who, because we don't invest in learning or not, we literally have people who don't know how to learn, where they've never been taught the skill of learning, which sounds like crazy, sounds super crazy. Like, there's no way you just born able to learn. You learn how to mimic behaviors, you watch how to mimic behaviors, but that can only get you so far. There are folk who legit don't know how to learn. So if you don't have the skill to learn, then trying to educate that person on things that they should know about makes no sense, right? It's like trying to tell a blind man, here's some movie recommendations. It's not gonna get you nowhere. And when you get to the truth will set you free, right? Then you get to the point where you're like, all right, you don't know how to learn. I don't even know how to separate the people who don't know how to learn from the people who just aren't interested in learning, because they moving in the same crowds where the folk who don't know how, they honed in the little stuff that they know how to do, and that's completely their focus. Then the people who know how to learn but aren't interested, they act the exact same way, where I'm just gonna zone out. I'm gonna be focused on these things right here, and it just is what it is from there. That makes it real tough to do anything in life, because as I got older, right, I'm again platform where folks can share perspective and share opinion. I'm talking directly from my experiences in life, right? Got to a certain age, I don't know what happened. I woke up one day and I noticed the intelligence gap between myself and somebody I'm interacting with, where we just don't seem to get along. We constantly seem like we're into it, but I can't understand why. And I woke up and was just like, it's because you stupid. We can't get along. We can't see eye to eye because you lack skills. You don't understand sarcasm. Don't understand when somebody's being tongue in cheek. Don't understand body language. Don't understand nonverbal communication. Only thing you understand is social media likes, comments, and DMs, which is all like fake interactions, like replicas of real interaction. I'm like, you don't have those skills. And because you don't have those skills, stupid. Once you get to that point where you realize that somebody is not intellectually up to par, it changes your entire approach to interacting with people. Because again, you go back to there's people who don't know how to learn, there's people who aren't interested in learning. And when you have that large chasm of intellectual performance, you just like, bro, I'm not even interested in teaching you, honestly. These are things that somebody along the line should have taught you so you can function as an adult and meet me where I'm at. But if I'm an adult and I'm here and you move with the intellectual capacity of an 8-year-old, the 8-year-old in public school in 2025, like there's nothing that can be said. Nothing that can be done. It's just, I got to leave you where you at. It's other people's job to have taught you how to get there. I can't do that on my time. And I'm not really trying to figure out whether you're interested in getting where I'm at either. And that's where things get real uncomfortable because interacting in today's world, you got to figure out who's even mentally stable enough or mentally up to par in order to have certain conversations. Then once you figure out who that group is, then you got to figure out, all right, amongst that group, who's emotionally intelligent enough to carry out a conversation and be able to disagree respectfully or be able to come to terms in a normal manner or what used to be normal. And once you get past those folks, it's like, all right, now we got the folk who know better but don't do better. How do I deal with them? And when you start realizing that there are different tiers of intelligence, especially in today's world, you realize that you can't treat everybody the same. It's impossible to treat everybody the same. But it's too much of a hassle for you to consistently have to change yourself in order to acquiesce to whoever you're trying to communicate with. Like, I have to place you in a tier and I have to adjust my message according to you. And if it's not your job or if it's not your responsibility, it's not your problem. And here's where the conversation starts. Because you're talking about the truth. Because there are these different tiers within society that are like constantly fracturing themselves and turning into smaller groups. Now there's one umbrella where folk are like, well, there's a certain way you have to communicate the truth to people. And to the folk that are intelligent, it's basically saying, yeah, you know this, but it's your responsibility to break it down to people to a point where it doesn't offend them. Cater the truth and logic to other people's insecurities or deficiencies. That ain't how life works. If you broke, life don't try to make it easier for you to be broke. Like, yeah, you're gonna be broke, but whoa, just wait until you have some money for the bills to pop up. Nah, it's not how life works. You in a down period in your life. You're depressed. Your mind isn't the sharpest. So, boom, you're gonna lose a friend or a family member, and we're gonna just hold it off until you feel better, and then you'll have to deal with it. Man, how life works. You dealing with truth, logic, and facts at at face value, and people should be able to communicate with the same level of authenticity. And I'm trying to phrase this again. I'm trying to phrase this where it's as positively direct and upbeat and positive as possible. I done said positive too many times. You get what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to be as positive as possible, but when you get to a certain point, it's like, yeah, fuck all that. There is no positive and negative to the truth. It's just the truth and your insecurity to it. That's how life works. But getting back to the point, it's common in the world, and you'll hear a bunch of phrases like that all the time where it's not what you said, it's how you said it. If I'm expressing an opinion or something that's not based in fact, okay, there are certain things that you can try to sugarcoat, try to present in a certain manner. Like, this is how I feel. But if it's fact, an event that happened, information that you know to be true, things of that nature, you should be able to present it as is. You shouldn't have to cater it to anybody. You should be able to just present the truth for what it is and that it's up to you how you deal with that. I've taken that approach, and once you start taking that approach, life changes so drastically where you can understand. Again, all right, bet we're gonna get right to it, right? Not sugarcoat no more. You can tell who full of shit, like when you stick to just the truth. Not about being pessimistic, it's not about being optimistic, about being realistic. Okay, I understand this is how life works. This is how things affect other people. It's how it affects me. Here's how things work. And I'm as positive and as polite as possible, but I'm going to communicate the truth to you. If somebody loves you, they'll tell you the truth. And they won't tell it to you in a way that's going to make you feel better about yourself. They're going to tell it to you in a way that's going to be best for you in the long run. If 1,000 people hate you because you do a certain thing, to expect somebody that loves you to be like, hey, maybe you shouldn't, or you should think twice about it. Nah, they should tell you straight up, hey, they hate you because you do this. When you self-aware, you take facts of life in situations as they are, and you adjust. But then again, that's back to being self-aware, knowing who you are and how the world operates around you. You're dealing with a lot of people who have not only a lack of self-awareness, but a complete self-identity issue. Missing persons, don't know who they are. And then they also have intellectual deficits where I have no sense of self and I'm not intelligent enough to have communication with people who are, because you cannot know who you are and be able to communicate. Now you got folks who are literally running on E in multiple facets of life, and life is going to shock them. It always does. That ignorance is bliss shit, it only works so far. Ignorance is bliss until you meet the truth. And it's going to hurt. The truth hurts, especially when you do not know. The truth always hurts when you don't know it, but you need to. And I'm a proponent of, hey man, be polite, be respectable, be respectful, sympathetic, empathetic, all of these things. Want the best for other people and want the best for yourself. And respect the truth. So communicate the truth. Easy. Super easy. It takes a lot of complication out of life. You don't have to deal with any other outside variables. Just here's the information: who, what, where, when, why, and how. You keep it to that right there, then you can explore the what ifs, the hypotheticals, the context. You can explore all of that, but you need the facts first. Any conversation that isn't built on facts and that's built on details and context first ain't going nowhere. Need the foundation first. I never understood it when I used to always hear as a kid, truth is love, and God is truth, and God is love. That's because it's saying the same thing. You have to have a respect for the truth. And once you understand the truth, and you chase the truth, you're going to find comfort. Again, the truth will set you free. Once you understand what's going on and you accept it, you're unbothered by anything else because you're informed. Knowledge is power. There's so many sayings that go around this, but folk don't really understand it. It's really that simple. And my mantra for life is so simple and complicated, because folks like to get lost in the details and in the context and try to avoid the truth. No need for all of that. But getting back to the topic at hand, right? We talk about folks not really respecting the truth. It's like you have to figure out whether you want to prioritize self or prioritize their feelings. And it's not your feelings versus their feelings. It's your quality of life versus their feelings. Simple. And feelings are impulsive and they are temporary. They're not always there. They're not permanent. So You can't acquiesce to somebody's feelings because how they feel is going to change in a little bit. It's not going to be the same. But the truth, consistent, it's always going to be there. For example, right? Say you want to play sports and you want to play AAU. And I'm not talking about new AAU. I'm talking about old AAU. You try out. The tryouts don't go to all of the kids to begin with. You have to be of a certain ilk to even get a tryout, if they're holding any. So everybody's already not getting accepted. Then for the folk who do try out, the coach don't pat everybody on the back and tell them good job, appreciate you for coming, you have a chance. No, it's these are the best guys. Here's who makes a team. Everybody else, you weren't good enough to make the team. Used to be acceptable. Hey, we got an AAU team for our state or for our region. These are the best 12 guys. That's who's on the team. Everybody else, you weren't good enough to make it. That's simple truth. Now, you don't have to tell anybody they're not good enough. Hey, we just gonna put you on another team. So you gotta avoid the truth. You are not of a certain caliber of competition, but instead of telling you that, let's change the rules so you never have to deal with it. You'll never have to feel the feeling of not being good enough. That's unrealistic. You're going to come across an opportunity to find out the truth. You made a team, say you on 3 teams. There are a bunch of parents and your parents' friends all started teams and you on all the teams. Then you play a team that's a legit AAU team, was built old school way, and they kick your ass. You find out that game, you are not good enough to be playing this. It's not gonna kill you. It's not the end of the world. That's just the truth of the matter in that situation. And to be universal. Once upon a time, right? You had to have some kind of, there used to have to be substance behind recognition. You didn't just chase infamy and attention. You had to actually be good at whatever you were doing. So, like the Jake Paul situation, where he's making a lot more money than all the boxers simply because he has enough following. And the question is then still, is he good at boxing? Don't know. Don't know the truth. I mean, a lot of people suspect the truth, but don't know for sure. Watched the interview with Denzel. Denzel said it not too long ago where you had to have something in order to make them come. Now you are already gathering them first, and you have to have something for them when they get here. House of Cards, man. House of Cards. Let me try to build the situation first, and then I'll figure out what the truth is, and we'll figure out the truth later. There's always chaos whenever there's no truth. No truth, there's no light, no light, no love. Where is no truth, God cannot be. You feel me? Got to get back to truth and telling people the truth, not out of spite, not out of disrespect, just because you have to understand how life works. Otherwise, you'll get played for a fool and you'll waste what limited time you have here. I mean, a lot of that plays into dating because that's the biggest thing, especially right now. And majority of society is built upon reproduction and birth, reproduction, death. You don't get to choose these two. You don't get to pick when you're born, who you're born to. Hell, majority of the time, you don't get to pick where you die, how you die. For those who do, either a terribly fortunate situation or terribly unfortunate situation. But that second one, reproduction and family, it impacts everything else. And ain't too much truth being told around that. And because here's how I'm explaining how important it is to you. You'll shape your entire life, or somebody will shape their entire lives, entire industries. Everything is impacted by reproduction. What you're attracted to, who's attracted to you, how you raise your family, what quality of life your family has, putting your kids in the best position to have the best families they can have. Everything is motivated by what I can provide for my kids, what my parents provided for me, who I can attract. Circle of life, really, right there, based on reproduction. And a lot of the truth is being warped around that as well, which is why it's such a huge podcasting topic, because sports are cut and dry. They're not changing all of the rules to the sports. They might change a few to make it a little more entertaining, a little more fun, but they're not just going to change it. Hey, man, we now play basketball on 3 different levels. Down in the basement, on the first floor, and the second floor. Figure it out. Nah, it's still going to be the same linear. We here. We going to call less fouls here or there, but it's still the same game. Dating, they changing all of that because not acknowledging the truth. Everything is based around that. Everything is based around dating and procreation and family building. Careers, making money, what you need the money for. If you didn't want to procreate, and if other people weren't interested in it as well, you wouldn't need money. You just go out and do what you wanted. But what about if I wanted to sell something? Why would you need to sell it? If you don't have any family to take care of, if you could just do whatever you wanted to do without any consequence of how it would impact other people, you would just go do it. There'd be no need to sell anything because you wouldn't need any of the resources that came from selling something. Like, that's a conversation. You can go deep into the weeds and the conspiracy theories and breaking down the sociological impact of things like that. But take a word for it. If you ask why, 7 whys about anything, it's going to go back to that. Making money. The only thing that you really don't use to lend itself for procreation or hobbies. And with hobbies, you stick directly to the truth. You cling to the truth. You understand the foundations of whatever hobby you have. And it's law. Anime, it has to look a certain way. It has to sound a certain way. Playing sports, I need the rules. Art, I need to understand how to express this art. What is my muse to express my art? Fashion. Shit, they not making personless clothes. You're not just putting fabric over there and you're not putting it on people. No, it has to fit and flow over a human body. There are rules and concepts to all hobbies that you respect. And the rules come from the truth. This is what it is. This is what it's for. This is how it works. If you were to do the same thing, and if you were to put the same thought processes on every situation in life, the truth would be relatively easy. This is what it's for. This is what it impacts. This is who it's for. This is how it works. But always weighing that back and forth between, all right, am I going to respect logic or am I going to respect feelings. And feelings conversation is huge because feelings is more so about, again, feminist movement. It's a feminine trait to be nurturing, and you can be toxically feminine and be over nurturing. Once you get to a point where facts don't matter and masculinity doesn't matter by default, you're unstable. Need the balance. You need the balance. Balance that shit out. But it all comes from having a foundation, and the foundation is always truth. When you go to the Bible, right? Adam before Eve, man before woman, masculine before feminine. You need a foundation, you need rules, and you need structure in order to have any kind of creativity and imagination to expand upon that foundation. Remember, Adam's rib made Eve. So creation came from those rules and from that structure. There was a structure, and you had to pull from it in order to create, in order to expand the imagination, in order to grow. You have to have the rules first, and then you can grow. Like, there's so many parallels and so many stories you can go back to, but really as simple as that. But for anybody watching this, it's not looking the most entertaining. But back to it. When we talk about the truth and living in the truth, there are two ways in which you have to like come to terms with it. The first is, how does the truth impact me? What do I need to learn about? How do I go about respecting it? And how do I come to terms with it and stop being so sensitive? How do I desensitize myself to the truth? Because there's no need to be sensitive to the truth. Regardless of how you feel about it, it's always going to be the foundation. So the first step is desensitizing myself to it and becoming familiar with the truth, respecting the truth, and then wanting to spread the truth. And that's the second part, spreading the truth, how to communicate the truth. The same way you receive it should be the same way you express it, which is without bias. Here's how it's worked. Didn't create it. This is just how it works. And if I respect you, if I love you, if I care for you, I'm going to give it to you so you can go through the process the same way I did. But too often when you give people the truth, they feel like it's a slap in the face. Think about it like a cookout. You giving somebody the truth to be as simple as handing them a plate for them to get something to eat. But these folk, I don't want to use a plate. I don't want to use dishware. I want to walk straight up to the food. I want to just eat with my hands. I want to pick through it, throw some stuff away, and just eat the pieces I want. And because that's what I feel for myself, I'm going to treat you handing me a plate like you smacking me upside the head with the plate and you attacking me. You got to respect the foundation. You get the food from the tray with this utensil, you put it on your plate, you eat it with that utensil. That's just how it works. You have to agree to the ground rules. You have to agree and you have to respect the foundation in order to do anything. But because you respect the foundation and because you respect the ground rules, people act like you disrespect them. And that's a crazy thing. I'm glad I was able to like bring this to mind because that's a constant situation you deal with in the dating world where, especially when you're dealing with women, I plan to get with a lot of women to have their point of view as well. But in the dating world, when you're dealing with women right now, women constantly want to test or manipulate just how much they mean or what can I get out of you? What kind of crazy things can I make you do? And how can I make you prioritize my feelings over the truth? Which is manipulative. Big facts. I need you to care more about how I feel about the truth than the truth itself. Which fundamentally, when you say it like that, it sounds stupid as fuck. And again, I like to keep things simple. And it's not to disrespect anybody, but it's the most proficient way to communicate is to speak on layman's terms. Not to flex any kind of outrageous diction or expressive vocabulary that's outside of this world, but keep it so simple that people 70 years old and people 7 year old can be able to understand the words, whether they can grasp the concept or not. You understand what I'm saying, whether you can conceive or not. And that's just what it is. Where this is how things work, but I need you to value me so much that you throw caution to the wind and go back to Adam and Eve. God told you not to do this, but I'm bringing it to you. So what means more? The fact and logic of there's going to be consequence to this, or what I mean to you? Which means more? My feelings, how I might take you telling me no, or the facts? Again, man, I had this conversation before where Christianity isn't a history book. It's a collection of ideas. It's like Aesop's fables. There's a story to be told, and you're supposed to take the parallels to your everyday life and not treat it like history. But another story for another day. Let me take a quick break, man. And we back to it. So, if I were to ask, how many people do you think respect the truth, or that you actually can have a conversation with, and you don't have to cater your words to how they feel? You're not being disrespectful. You're not cursing at them. You don't have to call them out of their name. You just can communicate facts or accurate depictions of events, and they don't take it personal. How many of those people do you have in your life? How do you feel about them compared to everybody else? You tend to love them more, at least in my experience. Anybody that can tell me the truth and I can tell the truth and we don't get offended at one another, but we can communicate, best relationships you're going to have, because it's always based on truth. And that's how they tell you to build relationships, especially intimate relationships, where you need to find somebody that is going to be honest with you and is not going to manipulate you. They're going to communicate with you. They're going to accept your communication. You guys can interact with one. Based on truth and love with things. It's like, again, life is so simple, it's complicated. Where you can tell five people to read this word, and each one of them could pronounce it different, and they all can think that it means different things. Crazy, craziest thing ever. I'm trying to, like, tough part about this is, again, like I've already expressed, everything goes back to family building and dating and relationships. It always does. And trying not to turn each conversation into, man, let me tell you about these hoes, man. Like, trying not to make that connection every time is tough. But conversation need to be had. It's gonna be there because it's about the truth. And it's coming real soon where we start actually attacking the ins and outs of these things because it's huge. Like it's the foundation of everything. To me, and it's a conversation that once you start, you really don't stop because once somebody's in a relationship and then you get into reproduction, you now have to pass the information on relationships down to the next generation. And then you have to pass that information amongst the next generation that's even outside of your household. That way they can have an understanding. And then as you grow and life changes, you have to reassess your relationship over and over again. And you have to continue to pass that information along because dating at 50 or being married at 50 is not the same as dating or being married at 25 or at 75 or at 15 or at 105. It is constantly changing. So you have to constantly be passing that information along. And that's when everybody is unilaterally moving in the same direction, the direction of truth. Right now, because we're not chasing truth, masculine, we chasing emotions and gratification, validation. Yeah, emotions are all over the place. There's a reason that they're saying it's all over the place because each emotion will send your behavior into a different interaction. Based, you can approach the same situation with 10 different emotions and you can get 10 different reactions. So you're going to get at least 10 different results of those actions compared to truth is what it is. It's going to be one reaction, one story. It's just right here. It's a crazy conversation. And it's a crazy thought. But once you start having those, what would be the phrase for that? Those test runs mentally, those mental test runs where you're going through, all right, here's what happens, here's what could happen, here's what might happen, here's what's most likely to happen. Once you start doing that mentally, you'll understand just how wild being emotional is because it's inconsistent compared to I'm dealing with cold hard logic. I'm just going to be doing this one thing. I can't control how everybody else reacts because I don't know whether they dealing with logic or emotion. When you're dealing with people who deal with logic as well, that bond is crazy. When you're dealing with people who are moving off emotion, the interaction can be uncomfortable because in that intellectual deficit, that intellectual mismatch, you moving off different core principles. I'm moving off being logical, you moving off being emotional. So you constantly need to be dealt with differently based on how you feeling. I'm only being dealt with the same. Give me the facts. You need a lot more of that in society because I hate to say it, but a lot of people need to be humble. And the truth is humbling. Ignorance is bliss until you don't know some shit that you need to know. A lot of men need to be humble, where life has a way of humbling men in a very aggressive fashion too, where it's you got one of three options: loss of freedom, loss of health, or loss of options. And it's in that order where you more likely lose your freedom, lose your health, and then lose your options in that order. Women, it's a lot of women that need to be humble. A lot of women that need to be humble. I say a lot twice because there's more women than men. And life is real cruel to women because they're not as harsh as on women. That's the crazy part. Men, the consequences come swift. They respectfully swift where you gonna deal with this. Women, it's the other way around. Loss of options, loss of health, loss of freedom. it hits women backwards. And that's way more uncomfortable because, again, ignorance is bliss until you don't know some shit you need to know. When you think you have 100 options, let's say it's your birthday, you want to buy some shoes because you plan on going out to this club in Miami, but you don't know if the club is even still in Miami. You haven't researched it. You just heard it from somebody once upon a time that there was a club in Miami, and you don't know how much money you have. So you get up till your birthday, never checked your bank account, never checked your email account. You realize, oh shit, you in the red. Don't have the money for the shoes, for the flight, and the club in Miami ain't even the club anymore. They shut it down. Loss of options, and it's gonna devastate you because you didn't know until then. Then, after you lose your options, your frame of mind changes, and when your frame of mind changes, your health follows. And when you are healthy enough to do something, you lose your freedom because you're limited in what you're able to do. And I'm not even presenting this as realistic situation, just hypothetical. And that's how it will work. Life is a lot crueler on women than it is men, but it's a lot more ruthless on men than it is women. And it's all about chasing the truth. Men naturally are supposed to be logical. So if you meet a man that's not logical, not a man. That's a bitch. Women are not naturally logical. Naturally, again, emotionally driven. But if you meet a woman that can move off logic, you better grab her before somebody else do. Because a lot of the times, you're going to find a woman that doesn't respect logic at all. And when you find a woman that doesn't respect logic at all, not a woman, that's a bitch. Men that don't use logic, women that don't acknowledge it. Without logic, a bunch of a man that uses logic, man. A woman that respects logic, woman. And of course, there are varying levels. Like, yeah, man, these toxic masculinity is all about logic and but man, still no bitch there. And remember, one of the consequences of masculinity is giving out consequences. So, all that, man, no bitch. But don't want to be too long, man. I wanted to get to the word of the day. I don't know if folk can see it, but I'm gonna slide out the way so folk can see it a little bit better. Word of the day: narcissist. And a lot of times, the word of the day is going to be words that I see being used commonly and incorrectly. So, what is a narcissist? A noun, a person who has an excessive interest or admiration of themselves. Excessive being big letters, meaning it's unhealthy. You consider yourself first, second, third, fourth, and fifth before you consider anything else. Or admiration, where, hey, I don't give a fuck about nothing else but me looking good. I don't care how anything impacts anybody else. I don't even care how it might impact me. I just know how things better go for me. I'm going to make sure the end result is the most important thing. So I'm going to change things. I'm going to skew things. I'm going to avoid things. I'm going to over promote things in order to make sure that me looking a certain way and being seen a certain way is of the utmost importance. not just of myself, but from others. Remember, life is a movie. The person who wants to be the only in their movie and wants to be the main in other people's movie. Narcissist. Examples: need constant admiration. I don't give a fuck if we lose the game by 50. Did you see that one catch I had for 4 yards? That's all I'm going to talk about to the next game. That's the only thing we better talk about. I don't care what happened to nobody else. I don't care what nobody on the other team did. Don't care about coaching, nothing. You remember that one catch I had? Entitlement. Another thing. Things better go my way because you need to understand who you're dealing with. Regardless of what I earned or what I deserve, none of that. I'm entitled to this. Fly me out. Pay for my food. Give me some money. Buy me things. Don't expect nothing from me. You are lucky to be in my presence because I am not unique. I'm special. All of y'all over there, I'm me over here. Lack of empathy. Again, I don't give a fuck what happens to nobody else. I don't care how anything impacts nobody else. All I know is I better be the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth point of emphasis. Everything better be catered on my quality of life, how I feel, and how you feel about me. Exaggerated sense of importance. I need to feel like the only woman in the world. Don't look at other women. I know social media shows you women all day, every day. I need you to close your eyes whenever they pop up on the screen and scroll past. You better not accidentally like one. I better not catch you talking to any female employees at your job. You better not even have a cute female cousin. If we have a daughter, you need to pay attention to me, and then I'll pay attention to her. Give me attention. Exploitative. That's the big one. I'm going to do whatever I have to do to get what I want. I'm going to do whatever I have to do. If I have to manipulate you into acting how I see fit, that's what I'm going to do to get what I want. Because how I feel and me getting what I want is the most important thing in the world. Now, reading the definition and reading examples of the word, I'm pretty sure you know a narcissist or 100, don't you? Who does that word tend to fit? We, as society, tend to throw that word around men all the time. And men know what a narcissist looks like because we point out all the time who the male narcissists are. Yeah, I don't trust that nigga. I don't trust dude. I don't fuck with dude. He act funny. Majority of the time, they arguing with gay men or women. You just a hater. Okay. Remember, if I'm wrong, life is ruthless with my consequences. When you wrong, life is cruel with the consequences. But when they're women narcissists, they're cheers. Girl, get it how you live. You deserve that. F them niggas. Dump him. Bitch, you deserve better. You a bad bitch. Or she's a. I don't know, man. I don't want to be called a hater. I don't want to be called disrespectful. There's other words that come to mind in conversations like these, but I want to save those for later for the board. But You tell me if I'm tripping. Who the real narcissist in the world? You can call them by name too. When you see them, point it out. Let it be known. Don't try to hide it. Don't try to keep it in. Don't try to protect them. Say exactly what you need to say. Respect the truth, and the truth will respect you. Better yet, truth will set you free, bruh. Stick to that. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.